mess. We're still seeing the effects of that this morning on most of our major freeways in and around the Portland area. We have team coverage this morning on a lot of this weather situation.
All right, let's take a look at our crews out there. Christine Pitawanich, Bryant Clerkley. We also have Rod Hill back in the Weather Center tracking it all, and there is a lot going on. I know this started yesterday, but we are still dealing with the fallout this morning. Rod, you want to start us off?
Is that me? Okay, thank you very much. All right, we have the accumulating snow story for most of us is over. We are watching radar. A lot of this is microscopic flurries you can barely see. Now, this looks to be getting up in the Coast Range, McMinnville, parts of Washington County. Snow is still coming down and probably potentially still stacking up a little bit. So that's the one area that we're watching. But, you know, overall, obviously the cloud deck is still pretty thick and radar is picking up snowflakes in the air. So we will be watching the movement of that area, which should eventually be going to the south of us during the morning hours. Temperatures are below freezing, and that's one reason why everything on the roadways are just a sheet of ice, as we thought they would be. As you look at numbers, it's warmer down in Salem. It's just now getting near freezing. Kaiser's just hit 32. Winds were still southerly overnight. They're starting to turn more to the east. You folks have the chance of that one snow band as it drops south to at least give you some snow showers. We're watching that. For Portland, though, I think we're done with measurable snowfall. 28 right now. Eventually, some afternoon clearing, but temperatures may not get up to freezing today. How about that? That's your weather for now. Chris McGinnis.
And that's obviously going to keep the roads icy, right? This is a live look at Highway 26 right now at the zoo. There's a couple of cars trying to make their way up the hill, but for the most part, you can see that that road is not in good shape at all. Let's see what's behind door number 2 here, as it has been a very interesting morning on the roads. That's I-5 at McAdam. I think the camera has frozen up. That car should be moving. It doesn't look like it is moving. But in any event, you can see I-5 south of town, right? We'll switch gears. Door number 3 showing me another look. This is a live camera right now, I-5 at Lombard. This was the traffic jam that Rod Hill and reporter Devin Haskins still is stuck in on I-5 southbound, right? You can see the traffic here. It's a live camera. There's flashing lights, and those cars are not moving anywhere. We'll take one more look here. Over to I-205. This is coming off the Glen Jackson Bridge. This is the Airport Way exit ramp. Look at all the cars here that are lined up. This is Vancouver traffic. The headlights here, southbound I-205, trying to get over the Glen Jackson Bridge right now. Guys, we've been saying this all morning, but if you're not equipped to be on the roads are just not doable. And even if you are, you may run into situations like this where people ahead of you are blocking the road. So best advice this morning, of course, is to stay home. We've got a lot more to look at, though.
No, absolutely. Chris, thank you very much. Let's stay over in Vancouver and check in with Bryant Clerkley. Are you on SR 14 right now?
Yes, we are, Brenda. SR 14 headed to I-205 back over to the Oregon side, but we're still in Vancouver. I'm going to show you guys what we're looking at right now. So this is that snow and ice covered road right here. Not too many people on SR 14 this morning, so we've just sort of been making our way through Vancouver this morning, and you can see that, you know, the roads aren't in the best condition. There's a few cars out right now, so we're driving as carefully and as safely as possible. So people just want to take it slow this morning if they absolutely have to leave their homes. But if not, it's probably best and safer to stay home. And as you guys can see, there's still sheets of ice on the road. There's still snow on the road. So this is sort of what we've been dealing with across the Portland side and on the Vancouver side this morning. Just really hard to get around the area. So just everyone needs to be very careful and take it slow. Back to you guys.
All right, Bryant Clerkley reporting live for us in Drive 8. Be safe. We also want to talk about travel to and from the airport and then flying out. This is a live look at the big board. PDX is reporting that there are 6 delays this morning and 42 cancellations. You know, the winter storm, if you've been following any of the national news, the winter storm has been affecting the entire country. We're hearing more than 1,500 U.S. flights have been canceled.
All right, Christine Pitawanich, meanwhile, stepped out of the studio for us this morning to cover the snowstorm in downtown Portland. Christine is not our TriMet reporter this morning, but you have been next to a stuck bus at one point during our show, and you were also next to a MAX train as it went by this morning. So where are you at right now, and what's the latest?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am kind of the on-the-ground traffic reporter, I guess you could say, so far this morning. I'm here at the Goose Hollow Max stop. It's right on Jefferson. All morning long, we've been seeing Max trains pass by. I'm also seeing right now, you can't see, but behind the camera, a bus making its way very slowly around the corner here, outfitted with chains. We've been seeing buses all morning long, kind of taking it slow. We've also spoken to commuters who have come from Beaverton to Portland, some of which have said, hey, the delays weren't so bad. I know that I've checked all morning long TriMet's Twitter, TriMet service alerts, and on that Twitter account, it said that, you know, people should be expecting 15 to 30 minutes in terms of delays on Max lines like the red, orange, yellow, blue. In terms of buses, some of those bus routes are also suspended, especially those ones that are at higher elevations. So far, the commuters I spoke to, like I said, have been able to get to and from their destinations all right, though maybe they have to walk a little further. I want to show you, though, Jay behind the camera, this is kind of what we're looking at in terms of the amount of snow. I mean, on this little pillar here, I don't know, maybe 5 or so inches, like the height of my hand, but definitely a lot of snow that has fallen that is impacting roadways. Earlier, I was on Southwest Columbia between 15th and 16th, and like Drew mentioned, we saw a stranded bus just in the middle of the road, couldn't get up the hill. Another stranded bus a little bit further down. That stretch of street was also closed. We're also seeing just people waving at me as they're making their way to work very slowly with chains on. When we were walking, because we've been kind of walking to and from, some of these streets are just iced over. I mean, yeah, there is some beautiful soft snow, but the areas that other people have either driven or walked on are pretty slick. So like you hear every single time it snows any amount in Portland, it's like, hey, if you don't need to be out, definitely don't go out. And I know that, you know, as we have these lower temperatures, it's probably not going to be great looking out here. Let's just say that much. We'll keep tabs on the situation out here. For now, people are staying in, I think, if they can work from home, and other people are braving the weather. Back to you.
All right, including you. We appreciate all your efforts. Thank you, Christine. Thanks to our viewers, we have gotten lots of pictures and videos from your neighborhoods. I want to show you a few this morning. This is Kai, a husky. I would say he is definitely in his element. The little guy is curled up there. All right, we also have this one. So check it out, snow-covered lights in Milwaukee, and look at those cars. Boy, that's going to be a lot of scraping later today. We can also show you this one. I like it. This is the snow-covered lights. Sorry, this is in Milwaukee. The other was Pamela. Let's take a look at this one. Oh my gosh, this is Nehalem. Look at how many inches they have. It is just a beautiful scene if you can look out from your home. And then we have, oh, nope. I thought we had one more from Gresham, but definitely send us some pictures this morning. You can text your video, you can text your photos, 503-226-5088.
All right, Brenda comes back to the desk here.
That was very cool, by the way, how you flip the photos. You touch them and they kind of flip.
Boom, but they're a little bit of
I like
out of
that.
order, but you know, live TV.
Yeah.
Touch Rod Hill in the shoulder and see if he produces a forecast.
We should be mad at you. I'm feeling feisty.
You know, I am lazy enough that I kind of enjoyed my couple hours just hanging in the car listening to the radio this morning.
Enjoyed that.
Being late for work. Okay, here we go. First off, see the little spinning right here? That's a low that was there yesterday. That models keep showing dropping to the south, but it continues to say, nope, I'm staying put. This thing is supposed to be all the way down near San Francisco by later today into tonight. But in the meantime, it is producing snow that seems to be heavy enough to be sticking or adding some potential light accumulations on the west side. It's been mainly just nothing but really tiny flurries from Vancouver through Portland. And if you look at the radar this morning, you can tell that's pretty much where the snow is. It's on the west side. Certainly monitoring the possibility of some accumulations. So keep in mind the west side, if you haven't heard, didn't pick up much yesterday. So for some of you, this may be the first, accumulating snow that you're starting to get. Here's what our Futurecast movie shows, 9:30 this morning. Snow primarily for sticking on the west side, and then here we are at 1:30. This is trying to get out of here and drop to the south, but that does show some snow shower activity around Salem. Here we are later, still dropping to the south slowly, but up to the north over Portland and maybe even into Salem going into this evening. we have skies that should start to clear out. Here are the numbers. Salem holding on at 33, but outside of Salem and Florence, everybody on the map is freezing or below. The Dow's 22. East winds are blowing out in the Gorge, 29 Kelso, 30 degrees in Astoria. Some cameras for you live. Stoller Family Vineyards Estate down in wine country. That is obviously snow on the ground. And here's the west side. I mentioned it took forever for the west side to start to get even a coverage of snow, but that's looks to be at least an inch on the ground, right? I haven't seen the observations from Washington County, but that's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Aloha. Here's downtown, and look at that icy mess. It looks like FedEx truck and some other vehicles just kind of stuck right there. I think that's the ramp to get on 84, if I'm right, off of I-5 downtown. Okay, that's old. Don't worry about that. We're just kind of scrambling to get everything updated. Only about 30 today, to 18 tonight, 38 tomorrow, Saturday up into the 40s. But we still have snow in your yard, at least into Saturday and probably into Sunday. That's your forecast for now. Here's Chris.
Standing by on Chris McGinnis.
Yes.
Can I fill in for him, Rod?
Please do, sir.
Okay, how about this look outside? We talked about some of the big travel situations and traffic problems this morning. Winter storm leaves many stuck in traffic. The headline tells the story. This is I-205 at Airport Way, and you see the trucks just all over the roadways there. Chris McGinnis will join us with a look at our traffic situation around town. Rod has more in today's forecast. Team coverage of this winter storm continues after this. Welcome back to Sunrise. So we have winter storm coverage for you this morning as we see the sun coming up there in the distance. So that is Chad Dehart, one of our KGW photographers behind the camera, trying to give us a pretty shot to start off this particular segment. The other shot he's been showing us all morning long is this one. This is right outside of his neighborhood, Southeast 152nd Avenue. Chad was trying to make his way to Sunnyside Road so he could come in this morning from the Happy Valley area. That's as far as he got. Road closed means Chad works from there this morning.
And he can. We appreciate your efforts. I see those recycling bins. I have a feeling nobody's going to be picking those up today, just FYI. But good morning, Happy Valley. And we want to say good morning as well to Dylan Rivera. He is the Portland Bureau of Transportation spokesperson. I know you have been slammed and busy. We saw that road closure sign, but can you update us on some of the other Portland City issues that are closed or restricted that people will need to know about?
Oh, yes. We've got at least 20 road closures at this time. We've got West Burnside, Germantown, Sam Jackson Park Road, and we've had a number of roads on the east side as well that are closed. And sorry, I'm just looking out the window. I can see the day shift plows hitting the streets right now.
Hey, Dylan, we tell people all the time during winter weather coverage not to abandon their cars, right? The fact of the matter is that's already happened. It's happened all around the city. So at this point, what is the situation with those abandoned cars? We actually had a viewer call us just a few minutes ago asking, is there a grace period when it comes to going back to get your car? A lot of times those abandoned cars is what keeps your crews from being able to clear the streets. So what, or how I should say, do you handle that abandoned car situation?
Well, you know, we'd rather not have to tow anyone's vehicle. And so the priority is if there's an abandoned vehicle blocking a travel lane that's essential for public transit, for first responders like police and fire, ambulances to reach a hospital, those are the highest priority. So if you abandon your vehicle on streetcar tracks, you're going to be a top priority for us to put a tow truck on you as soon as possible, because that's preventing thousands of other people from getting around using public transit. And so Sam Jackson Park Road will be a priority because we've had abandoned vehicles blocking ambulances.
And Sam Jackson Parkway is up to OHSU.
Yes, yeah. And so that's south of downtown. And so, you know, the advice we give folks is, you know, if you do lose traction, if you can safely pull over into a parking space just where you're not blocking a travel lane, then you're walking to public transit, a restaurant, a hotel, getting yourself out of this weather. That's the approach. But I mean, we will try again and again with public education to let folks know that it is not worth it. The risk of the unpleasant experience of being stuck in a vehicle,
right.
The unpleasant experience,
so,
and you know, could cost you hundreds of dollars in addition to a tow.
Dylan, real quick, we talked to you a couple hours ago. I would love a progress report, as you mentioned, the shift change. In the last 2 hours, is there something definitive that you can say that your crews have been able to accomplish, clear? Is there anything that we should know in that regard? You
know, some signs of hope this morning are that some of the routes, the critical emergency routes, where we've been able to use salt, Northeast Sandy, parts of Cedar Chavez, Marine Drive, parts of East Burnside, are starting to be slushy. And that's a hopeful sign. It's a sign that the salt is working. It's a sign of what we're hoping will be more to come. Getting these routes, the critical routes, to a slushy condition. Other than that, we need folks help to just stay off the roads, give us plenty of room to work, and check your sidewalks and check your storm drains and make sure there's a way for this snow to melt and drain off the streets as soon as possible, as soon as we're able to.
All right, Dylan Rivera with the Portland Bureau of Transportation. Thanks for joining us again here on Sunrise this morning, Dylan. He just mentioned the salt, and we kind of need the salt this morning to help with the roadways because we're not getting any help from the temperature so far. I believe Rod Hill is standing by in the Weather Center right now for us. Rod, Dylan mentioned salt maybe being a key factor here. Am I right in saying we're not getting any help this morning from temperatures?
No, we're in the 20s right now. I don't think we get above 32, so basically nothing melts today. We will eventually get some clearing, and of course, you know how it works. The cars, the exhaust will melt off some of the snow and ice in spots, but overall, what's on the ground right now will be on the ground throughout the day. Radar is showing some snow out in Washington County, Yamhill County, even snow flurries off of the coast this morning. That's everything you see there in white. Here's downtown Portland. I've been watching this with the trucks on one of the off ramps of I-5 getting to 84. That's been a mess. You can tell how icy it is. I will tell you, having been on I-5 this morning, it is nothing but ice. I mean, you can take a hammer and chisel down through it. Here's a look at temperatures. Everybody is freezing on the map except for Salem and Florence. It's not that cold outside right now. I mean, we're freezing, but it's 28. The ridiculous cold comes in overnight tonight. So we have AM flurries, areas of light snow, partial clearing later today. East winds will be at their strongest later today into tonight, gusting out of the gorge. 18 tonight. Wind chill factors in the single digits. Tomorrow sunny. We only get up to 38. That means we're not going to melt much tomorrow either. Seems like we're right at Saturday back down near 20. Hard freeze. Saturday 44. Now we're starting to melt some stuff. Next weather systems come in Saturday overnight. Still watching the early mornings of these days coming up for the potential of some wintry mix, but to me it looks to be mostly rain. That's your forecast for now. And Chris McGinnis is here.
Rod, thanks for that. Let's go ahead and give you a live update with what the roads look like right now. This is Highway 26 at the Zoo interchange, and you can see the cars that likely have traction tires, chains, whatever, are making their way up the hill here on Highway 26, but it's a mess near the tunnel. I can tell you that for sure. I want to take you over to the east side. This is the live look from our Rose City Sky camera pointed right down on the exit ramp from northbound I-5 to eastbound 84. These cars and trucks have been stuck here for hours. This ramp is still closed both directions from I-84 to I-5. There are no cars making that transition right now. Here's I-5 southbound up here near the Moda Center, and you can see it looks like maybe an emergency vehicle there, but no southbound traffic getting by at that point. Let's switch gears real quick. I'll show you another really impactful ODOT camera. This is I-5 up near Lombard. Stalled vehicles ahead, expect long delays to the tune of hours. This is, if you are even considering getting on the freeway, you should reconsider based on that alone. And I'll give you one more tour here of the Glenn Jackson Bridge where our crews are stuck trying to get out of Vancouver right now. This is southbound I-205 at the Airport Way exit, and it is effectively blocked at this time. Stay tuned.
This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Good Thursday morning, everyone, and welcome back to KGW News at Sunrise. We have extended our coverage this morning because of the snowstorm that hit the region yesterday. We're still dealing with the fallout, and you can see our team coverage this morning.
All right, so we'll get to all that coverage here in just a moment, but we're going to start with that guy up in the corner there, Mr. Rodney Hill. Had himself an adventure getting into the workplace this morning, but he is here now to tell us about today's forecast.
Good morning. By the way, real quick, if you're just watching us, our own Chris McGinnis getting into the record books and discovering that the 10.8 inches of snow at PDX officially for the calendar day yesterday. Second biggest snowstorm in the record books since they started keeping them at the PDX location back in the 1940s. So if you're new to our area, yeah, we don't get over 8 inches of snow that often, and certainly not at the exact Portland Airport location. Here's the way it looks. We've got snow. We've got just nothing but ice on the interstate highways, and we've got all kinds of problems, which we will be updating you on here coming up shortly. Temperatures, Salem, good morning. You're at 33. The rest of us are below freezing, and again, the ice is out there. East winds will gradually get stronger and stronger out of the gorge today, adding more of a chill as we go through the day. There are some bona fide snow showers with the potential of racking up a little bit on the ground out on the west side, but otherwise we are mainly dry now. 27 at the airport, 29 noon. Later today, some clearing. Fighting to get up to 32. It's going to be a fight. We may not make it. That's your forecast for now.
It's one worth fighting, right? And if we don't, obviously back into the deep freeze tonight. All right, speaking of the deep freeze, the frozen roadway, this is I-205, the southbound span of the Glenn Jackson Bridge. These headlights represent the cars and trucks that are trying to get across the Glenn Jackson, and we've got Drive 8 actually out stuck in that, so we're going to hear from them in just a second. Back to the Rose City Sky Camera that Rod showed you. This is actually the ramp from I-5 northbound to eastbound I-84, and that has been like that for hours. These cars and trucks that are here have not moved in hours. That's another ramp that's just an all-out mess. And another one, again, I-5 up near Lombard. This is the traffic mess that Rod was stuck in 4 hours this morning before it moved along a little bit and then locked back up again. So stalled vehicles is really one of the problems on the interstate system, guys, for folks that don't have the equipment to be out there. They are blocking the road so that even the folks that do have the equipment can't get around them, and that is in most cases what is happening on the interstate system right now. We'll keep you posted.
Oh, that is such a helpless feeling. Chris, thank you much. You mentioned Drive 8. Let's send it down to the ground, street level, and check in with Bryant Clerkley. Good morning again, Bryant.
Good morning, Brenda. So we are at a standstill on the Glenn Jackson Bridge between Vancouver and Portland. I'm going to show you guys what we're looking at. And yeah, we are not going anywhere. There are trucks. We saw a couple trucks that are chaining up. It looks like they're kind of stuck to the side. And there's actually cars looking to get across the bridge quicker that are going around this truck, which I don't feel like is the safest thing to do. But yeah, we've been at a standstill for about 20 minutes, I would say, not going anywhere. And I did get out on the bridge just to see if one of the truck drivers wanted to do an interview. He did not, but there is a thick sheet of ice on this bridge, so I could barely walk without, slipping or something. So you got to be really careful, even if you have to get out of your car, which I don't see why you would. But yeah, so we're at a standstill on the Glenn Jackson Bridge, and we've been all through Portland and Vancouver this morning with the ice-covered roads that you want to drive really safely and carefully on if you have to drive at all. We were just on SR 14, and that was pretty much covered in ice for most of the way and snow, and we didn't see too many cars on SR 14. But as we got to the Glenn Jackson Bridge, we are now in a gridlock, and the only cars that I did see that appeared to be stranded were these trucks right here, and I think that they're just chaining up so they can get across the bridge. But in 20 minutes, we haven't gone very far at all. So yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how long some of these people have been in their cars. And just throughout the morning, we have been encountering ice-covered roads. We saw those TriMet buses that were stuck on East Burnside. So yeah, it's just been a mess this entire morning. Back to you guys.
Just to be clear, Bryant, most people are trying to get out of that situation. You and Sunrise photographer Eric Patterson put yourselves in that situation to bring us the latest. We appreciate that coverage here this morning.
All right, if you're heading out to PDX, heads up. It has several cancellations and delays. We want to show you a live look at the big board there. They're running through them right now. PDX says it has 6 delays and 42 cancellations. The winter storm that we're having, I mean, they've got some version of that all across the country, so the weather's really messing with things. There are more than 1,500 U.S. flights that have been canceled so far.
All right, we have one member of the family not in the house this morning. Christine Pitawanich got the assignment to head outside the station. Christine, I don't think we handed you a vehicle. So wherever you're going this morning, it has to be done by foot and just down the street from our station at that Goose Hollow Max stop.
Yeah. So we're just walking around, just hanging out, talking to people all over Southwest Portland. Yes, we are here at the Max station, just on Jefferson here at the Goose Hollow one. You can see actually, well, it just left. A Max train headed to Hillsboro. The Max trains are operating. We've seen a number of them come and go. On TriMet's Twitter page, it says you'd probably expect maybe 15 to 30 minutes of a delay on all of their Max lines, although people we've spoken to have said that they haven't experienced too much of a delay. We were over at Southwest Columbia. If you're just tuning in now, didn't see us earlier, we were on Southwest Columbia between 15th and 16th. There are some streets that are just totally shut down, especially if they're on a hill or something. We saw a couple buses that were just stranded, stuck there. I know we've heard from Peabody who have said they're trying to navigate around those cars and buses that are also stranded or abandoned. In fact, I also spoke to a woman who was just out here walking as she was just passing by. She says she lives near 18th, Southwest 18th and Market. She says her power is out. It's been out since 7:30 or 8, she told me. And the thing is, she has an interview today. Her phone has to be the thing to do it. So she has to be on her phone for an interview. Her phone ran out of battery, so she's been walking around trying to find a place to go maybe have some coffee and plug in her phone so that she can do her interview. And I also spoke to commuters. Take a listen. Great. And where are you headed?
Work.
And where's work?
Intel.
Oh, okay. So you're headed to Beaverton. What's your take on all this? And did you wake up earlier or?
No. Just boots and yak tracks. It'll get you there.
Yeah, so you can hear taking it in stride. Some people definitely woke up a little earlier to get to where they needed to go, wondering if they'd be delayed. And that's probably a safe option. Leave as soon as you can if you need to be out. If you don't need to be out, obviously don't, because there are some areas on these streets, sidewalks included, that are pretty slick. But if you need to leave, leave early. Back to you.
All right, Christine Pitawanich for us out there in the elements. Can you just give us a little bit of hope? Tell us how much longer before things start to warm up a little bit.
Well, I mean, we haven't even gotten to the cold yet.
I know, but like how much longer? Is it tomorrow? Is it day after tomorrow?
Tomorrow will be above freezing during the day. We'll be
Okay.
in the 40s Saturday. But I don't think we really start to see a lot of this melt away until it gets rained on Sunday. Once you have temps in the 40s and it's raining, it washes out pretty quickly, but that's really going to be a slushy all out.
But one
mess.
more solid day. Frozen
Probably
solid day.
Yeah, I mean, pretty close to 2, minus just a couple hours in the afternoon. Here's a look at what our winds are doing. We're tracking the east winds out of the gorge. Right now, PDX along the Columbia River course, right in the main outflow area, gusting to 37 miles per hour. And again, these winds are generally going to get a little bit stronger. On paper, it looks like the strongest east winds are overnight tonight. And then we'll see the winds start to ease during the day tomorrow. So we're watching the winds. Salem has kept a south to southeast wind and just now getting down to around the freezing mark after being spared yesterday, what Portland was not spared from, if that makes sense. Here's the satellite radar. We're still watching a low offshore. It's expected to weaken and slowly start to drift down to the south and exit during the day. The snow chances across our entire viewing area should eventually fizzle out. Right now, this morning, it looks like the only threat of any snow that could be coming down good enough to continue to accumulate is going to be out here on the west side. Getting more and more reports from the west side. Had a report of about 8 inches at least in some of the 500-foot elevations of Beaverton area. I think I heard a report of at least 8 inches out in the Forest Grove area. You guys were the last ones to get it on the west side generally, but it has come. And there's some snow potentially accumulating in the coming hours down around McMinnville as well. Downtown Portland right here. Just look how slow people are going on I-5, and I think you can tell by the sheen. It is just ice that needs to be chiseled with a hammer for the most part at this point. We are cold. Brenda was talking about this. 27. Temperatures continue to slide in the last couple of hours out at the airport. 21 out in the Dalles. Remember, this is where the east wind's coming from. So that's cold air advection that the wind is bringing into the valley. 29 degrees up in Kelso right now. Some forecast numbers for you. So the west side down through wine country and then down into Marion and Lynn counties, you folks could still see some sticking snow bands potentially at least through the noon hour. Now, you too should get some clearing of the skies, but maybe not until late this afternoon. Southeast to east winds, 5 to 25 miles per hour. Did you see the lows tonight in the teens? Southwest Washington forecast miles give you folks up in Cowlitz County away from the gorge winds a chance to maybe get up to 35. Bigger story, these lows tonight, 18 degrees in Battleground. The gusty winds near the gorge at least to 35 miles per hour. I'm going to 18 tonight. That would be a record low. I think 22 Saturday morning would be a record low too. And Saturday morning might be colder than that. So we don't really have, I think, a noticeable warm up until Saturday afternoon. And there's the rain coming in. That will be a big fat mess Sunday into next week. Chris?
All right, let's get back to the roads and a live look. Highway 26 near the zoo. You can see we've only seen one or two cars going past this interchange for hours this morning. So obviously that is still a mess. This is the live look from the Rose City Sky Camera. I-84 ramp to eastbound I-84. It's been like this all morning. Those cars that have been there for hours and hours, not moving there. And we'll switch gears and give you one more look. I think we've already looked at this one a few times. I-5 South near Lombard has been just a mess with blocked traffic, stalled traffic that is keeping cars that may be able to get around from actually getting around. You get the idea. The road is blocked. We have some other issues outside of the immediate metro area. US 101 between Astoria and Megler. The 5-mile-long Astoria-Megler Bridge is closed right now because of crashes. We've got situations along US 101 as well. Between Nesquin and Lincoln City, there are numerous reports of crashes and downed trees. So US 101 in some cases between Lincoln City, Nesquin, and then getting south to Depot Bay is impassable. And one of the coastal highways, Highway 126 from Walport east to the Eugene area, is also closed because of snow and crashes. So numerous situations with downed trees and power lines also impacting parts of the Coast Range this morning. Drew.
Appreciate that update, Chris. We also have an update from some of the local power companies regarding outages this morning. We're going to start with PGE. PGE reports 6,700 of its customers have no power this morning. Pacific Power reports 5,300 customers without power on this Thursday. And Clark Public Utilities, you see right there, their number is 941 customers without power.
Drew, we have gotten a ton of pictures and videos from viewers all around the region. So since you sent them in, we wanted to show you a few. This is a scene on the Columbia River. We have Ryan and Alicia sending this. This is along Marine Drive and all the boats are covered. Let's show you this next one. This is Clark College. Isn't that something else? I love it. Stephen and David near Lewis and Clark College in the Southwest Hills. That is such a pretty view that you have. And we also this morning have a snowman. Oh, this is awesome. That is like, you know, quintessential kid stuff right there. We also have one from Gresham. This is Elizabeth. I love this. Look at the little birds there. Maybe there's a feeder out there. I think that's a fountain that's been covered for good reason. And then one more that we have this morning. Isn't this awesome? This is a calm pond scene outside Sublimity. Just glorious. Keep them coming. Thank you to everybody who's sent in stuff so far. We want to see more. You can text your videos and your photos to us. 503-226-5088. We'll show as many as we can on the air.
Right now we want to show you this picture. This is live this morning from the windshield of Drive 8. Eric Patterson, our sunrise photographer, and Brian Clerkley stuck in that traffic situation coming across the Glen Jackson Bridge. So this is I-205 heading from Vancouver into Portland. Just a standstill right now. We've seen that situation building over the course of the last hour. We'll have more on this, more on today's forecast, all your weather coverage in just a moment. Welcome back to extended coverage this morning of the Sunrise Show. If you're a fan of the Today Show, we apologize for not bringing you that. They are not dealing with 10 inches outside the airport this morning, but that's what we had, 10.8 inches at Portland International, the second highest total ever recorded at the airport. So the after effects of that big snowstorm yesterday still being felt this morning as we take this live pic from our Rose City Skycam.
Which is really a bummer because look at that line of traffic. That is the on-ramp to I-84 East, and that has been like there, for hours and hours and hours. They cannot get on there. We want to send it back to the Weather Center right now. Rod Hill is in to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Bryant Clerkley, I don't want to forget about you. You have been out in Drive 8 this morning. Take it away.
Hey Brenda, yes, I am on the Glenn Jackson Bridge with photographer Eric Patterson. I'm going to show you guys this traffic that we're experiencing right now. We are in a gridlock situation. The bridge is covered in ice. It's bumper to bumper traffic. We've been here for about 30 minutes. We haven't really moved too far. We're not even halfway across the bridge yet. So I would avoid this area if you can. I would avoid going anywhere if you can, because most of the roads throughout the area are covered in ice and snow, and it is really difficult to get around. We saw some trucks, some semi trucks on the side of the bridge chaining up. And then we saw some drivers trying to get over a little bit, faster. So they were using the shoulder of the road to go around the semi, and I would not recommend that. So these are the conditions that we've been experiencing today. Heavy ice buildup along the roads, lots of snow on the road, and just really hard to make our way, up and down the metro area. So we are stuck here, but the view is really nice. That sun is shining, and I always think the Glenn Jackson Bridge has the best view from the side. So that is a positive, but the roads are definitely a negative this morning. Back to you guys. That is one of the big stories that we're following, though, Bryant, and you're right in the middle of it. That traffic jam on the Glenn Jackson Bridge coming across from Vancouver to Portland. We always talk on mornings like this about the ability to get around by way of public transportation and how that might be your best option. So with that in mind, we're going to bring in Tyler Graff with TriMet. Tyler, thanks for joining us again this morning. Can we start with buses? Because that was a big story yesterday. We talked about at least 100 buses stuck around the Portland area. Do you have any updated numbers for us in terms of the number of bus lines that aren't even running this morning at all?
The number of bus lines that are not running this morning is about 19. Now, that number is pretty fluid, though. That can always change depending on conditions and also depending on not just snow or ice, but downed branches, other automobiles that have gotten stuck or in the way. So a number of things might lead to a route being temporarily suspended, but right now about 19 have been temporarily suspended, and those are primarily at higher elevations, and that is out of an abundance of caution and due to safety reasons.
So of the buses that are running, what kind of delays should your riders know about and plan for?
So all of our buses right now are running with hard traction chains, and so that means that they are limited to traveling 25 miles per hour. That will create some delays throughout the system. Pretty much none of the lines will be able to match scheduled service. So we do encourage all riders before they leave their homes to go to trimet.org/alerts to see how what service looks like on their line. And they can also go to trimet.org where we have an interactive map that shows all of our vehicles in real time on the map, and they can check and see where their next bus might be or where their train might be.
So real quick, Tyler, earlier you said delays may be 30 minutes to 1 hour. Has that changed at all, or is that still pretty much the time frame you're looking at?
That is still pretty much the time frame that we're looking at right now.
Last night, one of the big stories was buses, cars, trucks stopping and getting stuck on MAX lines, which disrupted service, of course. Is that still a situation we're dealing with this morning? Have those situations been resolved? Can you just update us on the situation with some of your blocked MAX lines?
Yeah, so yesterday the storm hit at the worst possible time during rush hour. So our trains were they were being blocked by vehicles that were either getting stuck on the tracks or just the gridlock was affecting our train service. We haven't seen that this morning as much on MAX. The MAX lines are running. They're just running more slowly due to the snow and ice. There shouldn't be a whole lot of extra precipitation today, and we've been working to de-ice the system. And as a result of that, ice is really what we watch for on MAX because that can slow things down significantly or stop service entirely. So we've been working to warm up components of the track that might ice over and to shave thin layers of ice off the overhead wires to keep service running.
All right, Tyler Graff with TriMet, thank you so much. We'll let you go, but stand by because you talked about precipitation and what's to come. We want to bring in Rod Hill. He is the specialist on that this morning. What does TriMet and the rest of us need to know?
You know, if you're talking about downtown Portland and up into Vancouver, we have, I'd say we're getting close to a 0% chance of precipitation until we get into Saturday overnight into Sunday. Just looking out the window here at KGW, we're by Lincoln High School. And I mean, the cloud deck is thin, the cloud deck is lifting, we're starting to get some sun poking through. So the chance for sticking snow right now, I'll show you radar coming up, pretty much out on the west side, Washington, down in the Yamhill counties and down into Marion counties. Okay, we've been talking about this. Our Chris McGinnis got into the record books. This surprised the heck out of me. The biggest snowfall at PDX site specific. Now, we've been keeping records in downtown going back into the 1800s, but PDX records go back to, I think, 1943. And it was that January they had 14.4 inches at the airport. That's the biggest one ever. What happened yesterday was second place, 10.8. Obviously, the new record for the month of February. Average snow reports from Vancouver, Portland Metro, out into Washington County, etc. If you were at low elevations, most areas were somewhere in this 3 to 6 inch category. Some were more. This is kind of average from all the reports I've had eyes on. And then when she jumped up to 500 feet and higher, the reports went to 8 to even 16, with the biggest 16-inch reports I've seen out near the Columbia River in the hills on the Washington side of Washougal and up above Camas. So, wow, right? All right, here's a look at the radar right now. Pretty much everything is on the west side. As I mentioned, the brighter white colors is where it could be snowing heavily enough to have some snowflakes starting to add a little bit of light accumulation. Notice this is now snow being picked up, snow showers or flurries all the way off of the coast, of Tillamook. So here's downtown. Chris McGinnis was just talking with me saying that the FedEx truck and all this, that's been there since last night. That's that closed on-ramp from I-5 to 84 in downtown. Wow. All right, temperatures are cold. That's part of the problem. We're not going to warm up today. So ice and snow currently is what we will have throughout the day on the ground. Temperatures in the 20s, a little bit warmer down the mid-valley, but these numbers have been going down as Salem and Kaiser are just now starting to sneak in a little bit of an east wind as opposed to a south wind. It's that south wind that spared you folks the snowstorm yesterday that Portland got. All right, futurecast. This too keeps the snow band potential here on the west side, weakens it, and slowly drops it to the south. Here it is in the mid-valley, Salem down into Albany at 2 p.m., and then after that, it's totally gone, and everybody will start to clear, and then we get very, very cold tonight. So still some sticky snow bands potentially out in wine country and down through Salem and Corvallis, clearing later today. Overnight temps tonight into the teens. Again, the real cold air hasn't even arrived yet. That comes in tonight. This shows 18 of battleground tonight. Vancouver, 20 degrees, already dry up in this area with no precipitation in the forecast at this point. So some AM flurries, even for downtown Portland, it looks like that's over. We're trying to get up to 32 today. Sunny tomorrow, but 18 in the morning, 38 in the afternoon. Don't forget the wind chill advisory tonight for gusty winds and wind chill factors in the single digits. Saturday, here's your first day where now we're starting to see some decent thawing. We start off cold, 22, but in the afternoon, 44 degrees. The rain coming into the first part of next week will be a mess because that will play a factor, Chris, in getting rid of the snow, so that's going to be a slushy process.
That'll be helpful for sure. Let's take you back to the Oregon coast. Not immune from the issues this morning. A crash on the Astoria-Megler Bridge, US 101 between Oregon and Washington is closed right now indefinitely. I'm working to get more details on that. We'll go farther south along the coast. We have issues with downed trees and down power lines reported on 101 between Nesquin, Lincoln City, and getting down towards the Newport area as well. And I misspoke before. I said 126. I meant to say Highway 34 between Waldport and the Valley is closed right now because of numerous crash reports and downed trees across the metro area. You can see the traffic map is lit up in all kinds of red, right? Basically indicating the sensors here on the map are iced over, and this is why. This is Highway 26 near the zoo. We showed you that camera shot just outside the Vista Ridge Tunnel. There are cars on the westbound section of the freeway that have been parked there since last night. Folks just left their cars there. They're still there at this point, and at some point we hope that they'll be able to retrieve their car. Well, real quick, see if I can take you behind door number 3. I cannot do that, but if I could, I would get you back to more icy roads on the east side of town. Again, bottom line is the roads are in terrible shape this morning. I hope we've said that enough to convince most folks to maybe not go out there on those roads, guys.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for that update. How about Don Hamilton joining us now with the Oregon Department of Transportation? Good morning, Don. We've got the screen split right now. One half is you. The other half we're showing our viewers Highway 26 right near the Jefferson exit. And really the picture there is the amount of cars, vans, trucks that are just lined up along the side of the road there. Can we start with this situation and what can be done to alleviate that mess? Well, we just lost Don on the phone call, I think. The Zoom call may have timed out. Okay, so we lost Don. We'll get back to him for sure.
But this is, one of those situations where we do see when we have a quote unquote surprise snowstorm where we're actually looking at the timing where people leave home in the morning not expecting to have low elevation snow, and then they try and get home midday because they see the snowflakes falling and they can't. Look how far out into that particular lane it is. I mean, that one car is like, you can still get around it. We see the 2 headlights coming at us, but hey, we've reestablished contact with Don Hamilton. Don, good morning again. Drew was just asking what can be done with a situation like this where we're seeing all these abandoned cars on Highway 26 this morning.
Real problem. It's a real problem, mostly for the drivers there too. But we're going to try to get them clear so we can get that road clear. They're an obstacle to us being able to get that road clear and safe as soon as we can out there. We've had a lot of problems, obviously, as you've been telling us all morning, on the roads out there too. We've had, in certain places, we've had trucks that are unchained, that are stalled and blocking 3 lanes of traffic. Oh my gosh, that's a real problem out there too. So we're trying to do what we can, and we've got all of our incident response vehicles are trying to get these clear so we can get them going again too. But that's been a real problem out there. Look at those vehicles. Some of them are going to get towed. If they're abandoned, they may get towed.
That's what one of our viewers was wanting to know. Is there a grace period? I don't know if she or he had a vehicle on the road, but they were really curious at a granular level if they've already left their vehicle and somebody else has picked them up or they've walked somewhere. They're like, what happens? So it's either incident response or tow companies. I mean, how do you start to unravel all that?
If there are abandoned vehicles on the road, on the Sunset Highway, as we can see here, they may get towed by one of the tow companies.
Bottom line, don't do it, right? Because that is, I guess we really need to pull someone on the air that can explain why they would walk away. You never know the situation.
Right.
And it could have been a case where they thought that they were safer getting out of that car. But I want to ask you about some of the other areas around town, Don. This storm obviously snuck up on a lot of people to the point where I don't know how quickly your crews could react with some of the salt that we know is now in play. Was salt even something you could lay down quick enough last night?
Well, there's nothing much we can do with certain tools until something's actually falling from the sky. We couldn't really use the de-icer. The de-icer is one tool that we can use before we start to get things coming out of the sky, except when it's raining, because the de-icer, the magnesium chloride, just washes off the road. But we can't really do anything until there's something to plow or to put sand on or to put salt on. Then it started to hit last night, and then we had our crews out there with the plows, with the salt, with the sand. So we were working on that last night as soon as it started in, but we were ready to go. We were anticipating whatever was going to come, as we were talking about in the last couple of days. We're ready for whatever's going to hit, and boy, did it hit out there. We certainly got hit hard.
The other thing I want to ask you about is that I-5 on-ramp to I-84. This is a camera that we have been watching, and we have been seeing like cars and semi-trucks. There it is, stuck since last night. Any progress report on that?
Well, we're doing what we can to try to get those clear. We've got a lot of trucks that did not chain up, and that's a real problem to try to get those trucks clear. We're working on that right now. We're getting some of our incident response vehicles in there. We're trying to get graders in there to help tow them out, and we've got cars stuck in between, as we can see in there. So it's a real mess. That's not one of the scientific terms, but yeah, we've got a real mess going on in there, and we're working on that right now to try to get them clear. And some of those ramps, remember, freeze up early if there's air underneath them, if they're overfly ramps. So we're working on that right now too, but it's going to take a while. None of this is going to be quick. So that's the part of the work that we're doing all day today.
Don, we've seen some of these spots next to you during this interview. Obviously the spot downtown right there. We've got the situation near the zoo with all the cars backed up along the side of the road. Is there an area that we're not showing on the screen that you know about with the information in front of you that we should be aware of and let our viewers know about?
Well, you know what's interesting? You know, anytime we have a bad storm like this, we always will go to the Columbia Gorge and take a look. But if you look at the cameras out for Cascade Locks out in the middle of the gorge, the road's just wet. There's not a problem out in the gorge today. The real problem in this storm has been right around in the city of Portland. And there hasn't been as severe a problem up in Clark County. So really the problem has just been focused around in Portland, as we've been seeing today too. So, but we've been looking at all of this today too, but really around the interstates, around the freeways, a lot of problems around I-205, around I-5, around I-84. We've been seeing a lot of these issues today. We're going to be working on that all day. We've been getting crews coming in from different places around the state, from Central Oregon are coming in to help us. We've got extra equipment coming in to help also today.
Oh, that is interesting. Okay, all hands on deck, understandably. Don Hamilton with the Oregon Department of Transportation, thank you so much for the info, and stay close. We'll be talking again.
Here's an update right now on some of the power outages throughout the area. Thanks again, Don. Power outages on your screen right now. PGE this morning reporting that nearly 7,000 of its customers are without power. There you see as well from Pacific Power, more than 11,000, close to 12,000 Pacific Power customers without power. And Clark Public Utilities up in Clark County still reporting under 1,000 of its customers without power this morning.
You know what I don't remember ever, and I've been, here for almost 34 years, is many of our crews getting stuck along with the public. Usually they can make it in. Rod Hill got stuck. Chad Dehart got stuck over on the east side of town. Bryant Clerkley got in. He's with photographer Eric Patterson this morning. But you are stuck on the Glenn Jackson Bridge this morning.
Yeah, we haven't really moved that much in the last 45 minutes, but I will show you guys what we're dealing with right at this point. Bumper to bumper traffic. We are not going anywhere. And I got out actually to see if a trucker that was chaining up wanted to do an interview. And I'm going to tell you that ice is so thick, I didn't even think I was going to be able to stand. So that is just the icy situation that we're dealing with right now. It is so dangerous, I can't even begin to explain. But yeah, we've been throughout Portland and Vancouver and throughout this whole area, and the roads are just icy and snow covered. So if you can stay home, please stay home this morning. We have not gone anywhere on this bridge in 45 minutes. So hopefully neither of us have to go to the bathroom anytime soon. But yeah, this is just what we're dealing with right now. Bumper to bumper traffic. And yeah, just icy roads and icy conditions. The roads are not in great shape this morning, as you guys have heard. And we've just been seeing cars, mainly trucks, semi-trucks that were stalled and trying to chain up on the side of the road. So we saw that I haven't gone that far on the Glenn Jackson Bridge, so I don't know if there's any cars stalled on the side of this bridge or not. But I just know we are not going anywhere for a while. So who knows when we will be off this bridge. So
Brian,
yeah,
we're
just
seeing
kind
that
of stuck right now on these icy conditions. So everyone just be careful this morning.
It looks
Back
like a
to you
still
guys.
picture that you're showing us.
It does.
It just looks like a still picture with your voice over the top, but that is the car that you've been behind now for, like you said, close to 45 minutes. Can you tell me, I mean, where are you on the bridge? Are you still like basically on the Vancouver side? Are you in the middle of the span? Are you anywhere close to getting to the Portland side?
We are on the Vancouver side. We're not even halfway.
Okay.
Several inches.
We removed in several inches now, as photographer Eric Patterson said.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but we're
Some
not
action
even
now
half
on the shot.
bridge. We are still on the Vancouver side.
All right, I can hear the other voice in the car there with you, Eric Patterson, longtime Sunrise photographer there. Bryant is the co-pilot, so to speak. Eric, the pilot. There they are on the Vancouver side of the Glenn Jackson Bridge, stuck with a whole lot of other people, Brenda, this morning.
It's like weather purgatory. Literally, just in limbo, not going anywhere.
He basically said Bryant was one of the few people who actually was able to get to work this morning, so we sent him out someplace to get stuck.
I know, right? This is the story of the day. Okay, you're looking at flight cancellations this morning. Portland Airport has a few. That's a live look at the big board. The latest that we're seeing, 10 delays and 45 cancellations. Those numbers have been bouncing around a little bit, but they've kind of held pretty much steady.
I know someone who's keeping an eye on those numbers, Brenda. Kama Simons with the Port of Portland. So Kama, we were with you just about an hour ago at this time. Any now further updates for travelers who were scheduled to fly out of PDX this morning? Because daylight sometimes clears the picture in terms of just how delayed things are out there.
Well, besides embracing your term weather purgatory, which I do have to say I love, we're actually showing 96 cancellations for today. We expect that that's going to be a pretty dynamic number. So we would really encourage travelers to check with their airline before heading to PDX. I think we all can see and understand that driving conditions are challenging. We want folks to get here safely if their flight is leaving. Again, airline is the best resource for that. And quite frankly, some folks are expressing frustration that their flight is departing on time because they're faced with this challenging prospect of getting from their home to the airport. That might be a great time to call your airline and just rebook your flight.
Right.
Really, safety is very important. We want you to get there safely if your flight's leaving, and some are expected to leave today. Those conditions will continue to change.
Okay, we appreciate the real-time information, especially about those cancellations. So they're up to 96 cancellations. Can you say anything about the delays? Any new numbers there?
We'll always see delays with this type of weather. Aircraft will load up, and then they'll need to push back from the gate and start de-icing. So that's probably what a lot of the delays are, along with staffing. And I would also plead for all travelers today to be extra kind and patient. The airline staff that are working there today, the airport staff that are working there today are the same people that have worked yesterday morning and probably most of last night. So really challenging to get staff into the airport. Things are functioning, but it is slow. So pack your patience along with your suitcase if you have a flight today.
Kama, one of the pictures we're showing our viewers this morning as we have this conversation with you, we just walked away from, but maybe we can go back, is that shot on the Glenn Jackson Bridge. So yeah, if you're a viewer watching from Vancouver this morning and you have to go to the airport for a flight and you're thinking, I'm going to take 205, you're not going to get there anytime soon because our crew has been stuck, and there they are again in that spot on the Vancouver side of the Glenn Jackson Bridge for the better part of 50 minutes now, 5-0. They say they've moved inches, not even feet. My question to you, because you can't control that, Kama, but for the Port of Portland and the airport, I mean, what do the roads look like right at the airport, like literally leading up to the departure and arrivals? And what about the sidewalks there as well?
This is always such a tough comparison. It's actually a non-comparison because we have so much less pavement to take care of than the city and the state and the counties do. So our surfaces look pretty good. They're clear. We are also seeing some slippery spots, and we're both clearing those and treating those. So it's winter weather out there. Proceed with caution, but our surfaces look good. That's our role. We keep them clear, and then we We advise the airlines that we're ready to go, and they make the call. They make the decision, always in the interest of safety for their travelers.
So a lot of people are going to be flying out if they can get there or if they have already been there. Of course, Camel, we have a world-class airport. It gets kudos everywhere for all the restaurants and the fun stuff that you can do there. But are you saying that the staff, they're having the same problem that everybody else is? Those will not be available unless somebody can be there to work.
Yes, and I would say that the staff we have who are there are working, they're smiling, they are world class. They are what makes our airport world class. We had probably somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people in the airport terminal overnight. In fact, some travelers arrived on flights in the midst of the snow last night. They tried to leave the airport, and they turned back. They were like, forget it, we're coming back to the airport, we're just going to hunker down here. Travelers who were stranded in the terminal last night were offered water, snacks, and blankets to help keep them comfortable. There's just a lot of people there who understand the situation and are trying to make the best of it, and I would include the employees in that group.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm not even sure that you would have this answer, but anecdotally, maybe you do. Here in the downtown Portland area, my producers were telling me earlier that people who got stuck in the metro core, they started going to hotels. The hotels were full, and the hotel was like, come on in, we'll give you what blankets, sleep in the lobby. Like we've heard stories like that in downtown Portland. Some of those surrounding properties, do you know, like, if that's going on out there as well?
I don't know about blanket provisioning. I do know that our hotels are full and they are working really hard to accommodate travelers. I mean, one of the things that's kind of a nuance of the travel system, but flights can't depart if flight crews don't have federally mandated rest periods. So there was a lot of work trying to get flight crews that were coming in last night into a hotel to allow them to rest per the federal mandate so that they could then depart this morning. So I know that the hotel partners around the airport are doing their best as well.
All right, Kama, we appreciate you jumping on here with us this morning as we extend our sunrise coverage on this winter weather morning. And there's another scroll of the screen. The flight cancellations at PDX, as Kama just mentioned, 96 cancellations, the updated number this morning. We'll have more coverage of our winter storm coming up in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise. Extended coverage this morning. We're preempting the Today Show to bring you more coverage of this winter weather. And the shot we're looking at here, Brenda, we were looking at this during the commercial break a moment ago. We actually saw someone getting out of their car,
Look at the
their
tow,
truck.
though, down at the bottom of the screen there to the left. They've got multiple cars on one of those things. Hopefully they're pulling them out because they've been stuck there since last night.
So this is a spot you've been talking about this morning a lot, Brenda. To let our viewers know exactly what part of downtown we're looking at, what freeways this is.
Right, so this is I-5, the on-ramp from I-5 south to I-84 east. That has been shut down. Chris McGinnis just walked into the studio. I defer all directional things to him, but this has been such a problem spot. I mean, it's closed. They can't get on there.
Yeah, and what it looks like is maybe they just towed that car transport out of there in reverse, right? And just for a little clarification, that's the northbound I-5 ramp to eastbound 84, which has been blocked for hours. And I cannot confirm that this was actually blocked since late last night, but I'm going to just say I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay.
And I can tell you also that Interstate 84, the ramps to and from I-5 at last check are still closed. So westbound 84 trying to get onto northbound I-5 is closed at this point. That is.
Have you heard at all, between the areas that it's closed? Are there just other, vehicles that are stuck and they're trying to, or is it literally the pavement that they're trying to clear as best they can?
There are vehicles that are stuck.
So that's why they've shut the whole thing down.
Yeah, there are numerous. I mean, we can see probably 20 cars and trucks just in this little patch of I-5, which is all of about a quarter mile or so that we can see. But there's pockets like this across the freeway system. We saw one earlier on US 26 westbound, just outside the tunnel. There's at least maybe 24 cars that are just turned around, parked sideways there, right near the Jefferson on-ramp.
If there's any way that our booth, our producers, our engineers can get some of those cameras between those two locations. I know we've got Lloyd, we've got various places, but I would love to get eyes on what that span looks like from our camera network.
That is such a critical spot for any time of the day, any day of the week, right there in the middle of downtown Portland. And you can see it is completely at a standstill. I can actually see in the middle of that screen there from our monitor someone walking around. I mean, this is just dangerous.
It stuns me that ODOT spokesman Don Hamilton said those big rigs, the semis, weren't chained up. And he said that is why a lot of them can't go anywhere. They didn't have chains on, is what he said to us.
And now that we've got all that compaction out there and temperatures that are not just at freezing, but several degrees below, you're creating, additional ice, right? So.
Yeah. And again, this does not look like an abandoned car situation here. These are people that are literally stuck in that spot. Yeah. I mean, where are you going to go if you did abandon your car there? There is nowhere to go.
No, there isn't.
So, Brenda, you worked with me on the noon show yesterday. It was in the 11 o'clock hour yesterday morning. We had Joe Ranieri out live in the hills up in
Camas,
where they already had 6 inches of snow on the ground. It was in that 11 o'clock hour that we realized, or myself as a forecaster, that my current forecast was horrible and that things were developing. And our message at noon yesterday was, still wasn't sure how big it was going to be, but that sticking snow chances for everybody were starting to pick up quickly, and that people should get home. And here we are the next morning with 10.8 inches of snow and the second biggest snowstorm on record at PDX site specific. Absolutely crazy.
I heard Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino say yesterday he kept using the word weird. He was looking at all these weather patterns in the wind. He goes, this is weird. This shouldn't be this way.
Forecasting is a very individual specific craft, if you will. So just speaking for myself, been here since 1999 in Portland working. The overwhelming majority of my absolute blown forecast are days where I thought it would be 35, 36 degrees, and instead the temperatures plummeted to 32 and snow stuck everywhere. And that's what happened to me as a forecaster yesterday. I thought we would not have sticking snow at all during the day. And then coupled with the fact that a low that's still out here right now spinning was expected to start drifting off to the south. Well, that didn't move, it stuck. Temperatures dropped to 32, what I thought would be at least not sticking snow, all of a sudden was sticking snow. And the moisture amounts blew up. I mean, we had, over 3/4 of an inch of liquid precipitation yesterday in the record book. I mean, if you melted everything that fell, that's how much it would be. That's astronomically high for a cold weather event. Anyway, here we are right now. We have this. I just updated KGW.com, our website weather page, and the big headline is the snow chance for Vancouver and Portland is over, done, finished. Radar right now showing the snow is in fact on the west side, and some of that could potentially be some heavier snow bands where you're going, yeah, we're still getting accumulation out here. Here's a very dark look from the Astoria column camera out over the Astoria-Meckler Bridge. You can see the snow on the hill. Our Cannon Beach camera also shows some snow on Haystack Rock. So there are snow showers actively pushing out to sea, out over the Pacific. There's that mess on I-5, the on-ramp to 84 that we were just talking about. Chris McGinnis talking about this temperature too, 27 degrees right now. Here's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Loa. The west side was the last spot to get hit yesterday, but it did come, and we have reports of 8 inches of snow in some of the hills around Beaverton. 8 inches of snow is a report I saw out in Forest Grove as well. Same temperature out in Loa, by the way, 27 degrees. That's actually at the Hillsborough Airport. Here's Stoller Family Vineyards Estate, so the snow is in the hills of the wine country. Salem just now in the past hour down to freezing for the first time during all of this at 32. And there are snow bands that will be dropping south of you. On paper, these don't look like anything but maybe some light accumulation amounts, but the bottom line is we'll be watching snow showers or snow bands on radar potentially through Yamhill and Marion and Lynn counties at least through the noon hour today, so we're keeping an eye on that. Forecast models give you folks steady temperatures to maybe bumping up above freezing a little bit. The bigger story is tonight. Remember the cold air hasn't even got here yet. That's tonight, 17 in McMinnville. Wow. Here comes Southwest Washington. We're done with the snow. Clearing starting to gradually take place during the day. Gusty winds to 35 out near the Gores. This shows Battleground at 18 degrees. And here are the other temperatures at 4 p.m. that forecast models project. Around freezing in Tillamook, only 31 in Portland, 5 up at Timberline, 28 in the Dalles, and 20s out across the east. Our forecast numbers. So 18 tonight would be a record for the date, and I think 22 would be a record for the date on Saturday as well. So we have a couple of record lows, and especially tonight, that wind chill will be in the single digits with gusty east winds blowing. Chris, obviously the snow and ice that's on the ground is going to be there at least into the weekend. Sir.
Yeah, so more issues, right, in the immediate Portland, Vancouver metro area. Let me show you at least a roadway that's not in terrible shape right now. This is I-5 through Marion County near Perkins Road. We've got bare pavement there, and obviously the Salem area not hit nearly as hard, so you're able to get around a little bit better. But I caution you because, as Rod pointed out, temperatures there have dipped down to the freezing mark in a lot of cases. Travel to the coast right now is just forget about it. This is Highway 26 in the Sunset Rest area. I have no idea how much snow is there, but you can see the temperature's down to 21 degrees. That's snow covered. Highway 30 at Rainier Summit. This is not often we see this, but Highway 30, the pass getting out to Astoria, that is completely snow covered. And Highway 6 at Lee's Camp, that's another coastal pass, completely snow covered. We are getting some reports of downed trees, etc. on some of the coastal highways. And I did want to point out that once again, US 101 between Astoria and Meckler, the Astoria-Meckler Bridge is still closed because of some crashes that have been reported. Quick look at I-5 through North Portland. This is the Rosa Parks exit ramp, and you can see traffic on southbound I-5 it's been like this for hours and hours. That's the backup that Rod Hill was stuck on that he's been talking about, right? We'll switch gears, take you back to the I-5 ramp to eastbound 84. Again, these trucks, we believe, have been here since late last night. They're slowly, looks like maybe pulling 1 or 2 of those out of there, towing them out one at a time. You can see that's going to be a lengthy process to get that ramp reopened. And we'll switch gears and show you I-5 near the Moda Center. Hey, there's a sight for sore eyes, right? Let me step out of the way. There goes the snowplow. Let's hear it for the snowplow drivers. Amen. And by the way, never pass the snowplow on the right. In fact, don't pass the snowplow, period, but never pass one on the right. Roads, obviously, are going to be quite a while before things improve out there right now, guys.
All right, some good information there from Chris McGinnis. 2 more pieces of information as we headed outside to Christine Pitawanich. So, Christine, just want to let our viewers know 2 things. 1, Meals on Wheels just called into the station. They are not able to deliver meals to seniors today. Obviously, that is a big headline for a lot of our senior viewers this morning. No meal deliveries by Meals on Wheels today. Also, the Oregon Zoo will be closed today. We just learned that piece of information. Meanwhile, Christine, we know that you've been in downtown Portland all morning long for us at that Goose Hollow Max stop. What's the latest from where you're standing?
Yeah, we have been here in Southwest Portland all morning. Since 4:30 we've been out here. It's quite chilly, by the way. But yes, here at the Goose Hollow Max stop right on Jefferson, we've been seeing a lot of people coming and going. Obviously, a lot of people also who can work from home are probably choosing that option. But I can tell you that it is slick out here in spots, especially when we're talking about, areas where cars have been going. Earlier this morning, we were at Southwest Columbia between 15th and 16th. There were some stranded buses that way. We have not seen any plows as of yet, but let me show you kind of what it looks like. Jay behind the camera coming over here. This is how much snow, at least on this pillar, fell. I mean, you can see a good, definitely maybe, 5-6 inches there, but that's not stopping people who have to go to work to get to work or as they're getting to work. Today we spoke with some commuters. Take a listen to one of them.
I think it's pretty. I think it's nice, but I'd like it to stay up on Mount Hood, please. Because it's like, it takes my normally like maybe less than an hour commute, and it takes it to like 2 hours sometimes. Like the last year we had snow this bad was about 2 years ago, and it was like 7 inches of ice on just on sidewalks alone, and I waited out here 2 hours for a bus.
And she did not have to wait that long for a bus, but we'll keep tabs on the transportation issues out here. For now, back to you.
Thank you so much, Christine. We want to send it out live to Drive 8 this morning. Eric Patterson behind the wheel. Riding shotgun is Bryant Clerkley. All right, kind of walk us through what's happening here, Bryant. Hey, Bryant.
Now we know why we were stuck for so long, or one of the reasons why. It looks like, we have a semi-truck that is jackknifed right here. And it's kind of like blocking part of the bridge. So traffic has gone to one lane to get around this semi truck. And you guys can see what is going on right now. So we are making our way through this bridge, and now we know why we were stuck for about an hour on the bridge. So now we're headed to the Oregon side. It looks like traffic is moving a little bit faster now as it can. The bridge is covered in ice. So we're just trying to get off the bridge basically, and now we can see why we were stuck for so long. And then we have some more traffic up here, so we'll see how long it takes us to get through this situation. Back to you guys.
So Bryant, real quick, don't go yet. The cars that I'm looking at to your right, those are ones that for whatever reason just cannot move. Is that right? They're not in your line of traffic. They've just pulled over and are sitting there.
I think they're going to the airport.
Oh. No, I think that they can. I think that they're just going to the airport. They're just on the shoulder of,
Got it.
Of
so that's the backup.
Bridge, and maybe they're just going to the airport, but it looks like they're moving
like you said,
a little bit.
They're probably trying to take that first exit to get to the airport.
To me.
That would make sense. Bryant, did you happen to notice if the semi that jackknife was chained?
It's almost like they created their own lane on the side of the road.
Again, this has been Bryant Clerkley reporting for us on the Glenn Jackson Bridge. He was stuck for roughly an hour. I'm going to say a little bit more than an hour on the Vancouver side of the Glenn Jackson Bridge heading into Portland. And you can see that line of traffic that is there on the right side of the screen is Bryant and his driver this morning, Eric Patterson, behind the wheel of Drive 8, pointed out they were probably just trying to take that first exit off the Glenn Jackson Bridge as you cross over into Portland.
Well, it is good to see some movement. Let's head back to the Weather Center and check in with Rod again, because you have a lot to talk about over the next few hours and beyond.
Yeah, hey, real quick, guys. When I hit the interstate bridge, now this was back, I don't know, shortly after 3 o'clock this morning, it was in pretty good shape. I was really surprised. It was in better shape at that time, the interstate bridge on I-5, than the pavement going up to it or the pavement following it. So kudos to the team that was out last night doing that. All right, here we go. Record rainfall, if you haven't heard. This surprised the heck out of me, but Chris McGinnis took the time to get in the record books. Here's what he found. So site-specific to PDX, I started keeping records back in the 1940s. The biggest snowfall ever at the airport, 14.4 inches, and that was all the way back in January of 1943. Yesterday, 10.8. That's now the largest February snowstorm at PDX in the record books. It's the second largest all time. The average snow reports around the area, if you live at low elevations, and maybe you're going, no, we got more than that. But if you look at all the reports, they were as low as 3 to as much as 6 across many of the flat areas. And one of the higher spots of low elevation snow actually turned out to be here in downtown Portland. We don't see that very often. But we're one of the leaders in downtown. 500 foot and higher was anywhere from 8 to 16 inches, with the higher 14, 15, 16 inch amounts that I've seen in the hills out in Washougal and Camas. And that's where the big hefty snow amounts first started to appear yesterday morning. Okay, there's a low out here. It's been there for 24 hours. It hasn't budged. It's expected to eventually go down and say hi to San Francisco, California. But for the time, it's still there. Radar showing, and Futurecast also shows, that the snow chance right now is only on the west side out to the coast. These snow bands will clip down into Salem and Albany, it looks like, during the morning and into early afternoon. So again, for Portland and Vancouver, our snow chance is done. We're completely finished with it. But here's some lingering snow around Tillamook and Newport, and potentially around Salem and Eugene into early afternoon. Here's some snow showers down around Albany even in the mid-afternoon, while the rest of us are starting to clear out. Now eventually all that should get out of here, and everybody sees twinkling stars tonight with record cold temperatures expected. Portland's living room has white carpet for the time being, as you can see on the bricks. 26. Temperature continues to fall. We're down to 26 degrees. Chris McGinnis all morning told you he didn't think we'd get out of the 20s, and Chris is looking like he might be the rock star of the day. We're down to 26, sir.
7.5 on the roof, by the way.
7.5 inches of snow officially at the KGW reporting site where we measure it. Chris just went up to check. We're the official downtown reporting site. 7.5. All right. 32 in Salem, 14 out in Pendleton. So, snow showers lingering into the afternoon for parts of Wine Country, Marion, and Lynn counties. Then you folks will clear out tonight and see record low temperatures dip into the teens. Snow chance is over for Southwest Washington, Vancouver, and downtown Portland, but the east winds will continue to gradually get stronger near the gorge. And those east winds will be blowing tonight when temperatures dip into the teens, producing single-digit wind chill factors. Very cold, dangerously cold, actually, to be out tonight if you don't have all of your extremities and your skin covered. Here are the temperatures according to a forecast model at 4 p.m. this afternoon. Look at Timberline, 5. So Chris, I know, showed you the mountain passes, both Cascades and Coast Range, absolutely buried. Here's a 7-day forecast. We're dry at this point in Portland until moisture arrives Saturday overnight into Sunday. Now, notice my low Sunday morning, 35. There's some question as to whether some areas could be at freezing and see a icy transition to rain, or if it's all rain going into the first part of next week. But guys, the cold and snow certainly on the ground into the weekend. Back to you.
Okay, Rod, thank you very much.
After this break.
No, I've got one more thing for you real quick. This is a new camera. You have not seen this yet this morning. And on the right side of your screen is I-84 westbound heading into Portland. You can see some of the tall buildings there in the distance. And then look eastbound. We were wondering why that stretch was closed. Was it vehicles that were stalled? Were they just trying to clear? But look, they have a few people coming through, but that appears to be some kind of slide or debris.
Yeah, you have two different situations right there on the screen. On that traffic that is getting by, they're heading east on I-84. We don't know exactly what that is, what kind of debris that is, if that's a fallen tree or something else that's blocking most of the lanes heading eastbound. And then we don't know exactly why westbound is as backed up as it is, but that is the big backup on that side is the westbound lanes heading into downtown. You can see big pink right there in the middle of your screen at the top there. We have more coverage from Rod and Chris and our entire crew that's out there in the field this morning. We'll have more for you right after this. All right, welcome back to extended coverage of our winter storm this morning on the Sunrise Show. We're preempting this portion of the Today Show to bring you more coverage from around the area. And this is one of the scenes, Brenda, that we've been talking about all morning long.
Yes, so this is the I-5 North on-ramp to I-84 West. And those cars have been there, we believe, since last night. They can't get on the freeway. We had a little bit different vantage point, and it looks like eastbound there was a slide of some sort or some kind of debris that was on the freeway, and we saw it from our Lloyd camera there.
I don't know how quickly we can flash back to that camera, even if we can at this point in time. But you're right, it's because that traffic is backed up there.
Nice.
Is why you don't see a backup on the eastbound side there of the traffic lanes on I-84. So those cars are getting by because the cars we just saw downtown can't get through. What I don't understand, Chris McGinnis, is why are all those trucks backed up on the westbound lanes? Do you have an answer to that question?
Because the ramps from westbound I-84 to I-5 are still closed.
I'm not sure if your mic is up yet. Did we hear that?
There we go. Yeah, I was going to say, you asked, the question was asked, why is westbound I-84 still backed up here near Lloyd Boulevard? And that's because at last check, on Trip Check anyway, that's ODOT's, of course, official website, the ramps from 84 westbound to I-5 north and south are still closed at this point. The traffic that we see eastbound on Interstate 84 near this potential slide or debris is traffic that is coming off the southbound I-5 ramp. So it's I-5 south to eastbound 84. When I give you the different perspective from our Rose City Sky camera, and I'm going to switch gears here. Let's see if I can bring that up. I can't do that, but the ramp that we've been looking at all morning with the FedEx trucks parked on it and whatnot, that's the ramp from I-5 north to eastbound 84. And I'm just going to say that I doubt that this and that are related because those trucks and cars have been stuck on that icy ramp for hours and hours. That said, this obviously isn't going to help matters because they need to get in there and get that cleaned up too. So.
And we saw like 3 cars go by as we were chatting about it before the break. So I'm not sure where they came.
Yeah, there goes another one. There's another one right there. So again, that is likely the ramp from I-5 south to eastbound 84 traffic that is making that transition. But again, and sometimes a ramp is open and then it's closed because somebody else spins out. Or maybe it's not even open. Maybe somebody just finally, shimmied their way off the ramp and got themselves moving again from a stuck position. And that's what we're seeing, 1 or 2, cars trying to get through. Let's see what this guy does here. Okay, so interesting that it just kind of went right through that slushy mess there. So you know what? And it's not out of the question that is also maybe something that's stuck on the camera, maybe a little bit of smudge there as well. So we'll have to check that out. But obviously traffic not moving westbound and the eastbound side of the freeway is not exactly in great shape either.
Chris, I cannot say enough. I've done this for many, many years. I so appreciate your expertise because you are always on point. We appreciate your insights. Thank you. All right, we want to bring in Kevin Carrillo. He is with Meals on Wheels. Good morning, Kevin. We had a little bit of news not very long ago that Meals on Wheels won't be able to deliver today because of the snow and the weather situation. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yes, that's correct. Because of the weather, we have canceled our meal deliveries today in Multnomah, Washington, and Clark counties. Our staff and volunteers will be making wellness calls to all meal recipients that were scheduled for deliveries today. And we will instruct them to use the shelf-stable meals that we delivered earlier this year until we can resume our service. So we do weekly deliveries of supplemental grocery items to our homebound seniors to supplement their nutritional needs and support them during any type of urgent condition like today.
I think anyone who's been watching our coverage this morning and seeing all these roadways would understand why deliveries can't happen. But could you just further explain, if people aren't familiar with how Meals on Wheels works, it's really volunteer driven, and you can't very well ask volunteers to try to drive around in conditions like we're seeing on the screen right now.
No, that's absolutely correct. We depend on our volunteers to be able to deliver those meals, and obviously we want them to be safe. But we do have our backup plan, making sure that our seniors have their meals and that we'll be contacting them. One thing, though, that we would like to ask people to do is to check on their neighbors that might be older adults and just make sure they're okay during this weather emergency.
Kevin, I don't think you can say that enough. many times we're all kind of isolated these days, but neighbor helping neighbor. I mean, if you're next door, if you're living next to somebody, I mean, this is the time to reach out. Even the smallest things, right, can help.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for an older adult who may be struggling, just that contact can mean so much to them. Just them knowing that somebody is keeping an eye out for them.
And Kevin, last thing I'll ask, we obviously have the message today, Meals on Wheels having to suspend deliveries for today. Can the people that receive meals from you just assume that things will be back to normal tomorrow? Should they expect an update, or how does that work exactly?
So our deliveries happen Mondays through Thursdays. So our services will resume on Monday.
Okay.
But again, we will be reaching out to people, making sure that they know that and that we're taking care of them and we can answer any questions they have.
Well, hopefully things will be all clear right by next Monday. Kevin, thank you so much for hopping on with us here this morning.
Really important information. All right, we want to head outside and check in with Drive 8 this morning. Eric Patterson, the photographer, and Bryant Clerkley riding shotgun this morning. When we last saw you, you were starting to move over the Glen Jackson Bridge. How far did you get?
Well, we're on the Portland side now, the Oregon side, I would think. I'll show you guys what we're looking at. We're still bumper to bumper traffic here. The ice is very thick on this bridge. There's cars all around us. We're moving a little bit faster than we were before, though. The wind is howling, though. So I can just imagine, I haven't been outside in maybe a half an hour, so I could just imagine how cold it is now. But yeah, we are still stuck on this bridge. We saw a semi that was jackknifed in the middle of the road earlier, so that's why it took us so long to get halfway through the bridge. But now we're still stuck, so I'm wondering what's going on at the end of the bridge to get us in this situation now. So we've been on this bridge for probably an hour and a half or even longer this morning, not really going too far or too fast, I should say, but you shouldn't be going too fast if you're on the roads this morning anywhere. There are ice-covered roads throughout the entire metro area, or throughout from Portland to Vancouver. So we were very careful this morning, driving very slowly. It did look like there was some gravel on the roads in some areas, which made it a little easier to drive. But when we were going through downtown Vancouver, those roads were pretty much completely iced over. We had to be extra careful there, just like the Glen Jackson Bridge, which the ice is astonishing, honestly. So that's sort of what we're dealing with. We are hoping that we can get off this bridge very soon, so maybe we could take a little break or get some water or just something like that. But yeah, we've been in standstill for over an hour and a half, so trying to just get through the morning, guys.
Before we let you go again, Bryant, can we take you back in time? Can we take you back to that moment when you actually got past what was the jackknifed tractor trailer there on the lanes of the Glen Jackson Bridge heading into Portland? So this is the moment, I don't know how long ago this was now, 30 minutes ago or so, when you and Eric Patterson were able to get around that jackknifed tractor trailer. It looked like there was some smooth sailing there for a moment, but how far down the bridge are you, would you say, from that jackknifed tractor trailer? Just how far did you get after getting around that?
Not far. Maybe like, let's just say not far. We are still probably in the middle of the bridge. Jeez. We're still in the middle of the river. So that trailer was still on the Washington side, and we're just in the middle right now.
And then for
that trailer was probably a quarter of the way through, and now we're halfway through.
Okay, and then update everybody, because as you're sitting in the middle of the span, or a little bit on the Oregon side, you've got also cars to the right of you that are trying to get, it looks like, out to the airport or somewhere in that direction as well.
Yeah, they're using the shoulder of the bridge, which I don't know how safe that is.
Yes,
photographer
you do.
Eric Patterson is
not
in his head. No, but yeah. It's not, yeah, it's not safe to do that, but we did see a lot of people doing that, which I would not recommend, but people are just doing all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so that's the situation right now. We're just hoping we get off this bridge safely.
All right, Brian Clerkley, again, reporting from the Glen Jackson Bridge, making that hour-long attempt to get from Vancouver into Portland this morning. Rod Hill, meanwhile, had about a 3.5-hour attempt to get from Vancouver to Portland this morning. Rod, you said first time in your long, illustrious weather forecasting career that you weren't actually able to get into the station on a snow day.
On time, that's absolutely right. In fact, the first time in my life I've actually gotten stuck in a big backup like that. I had been so blessed. 2.5 hours, I sat there probably, I don't know, maybe an eighth of a mile. I was north of the Rosa Parks exit, 2.5 hours. Finally got to Rosa Parks, got off, came up MLK and across the Broadway Bridge. But wow, what an experience that was. By the way, good morning, Claudia, if you're watching us. Claudia says where she lives in Salem, 2 inches of snow on the ground. We had another viewer call in and say they live just south of Canby and barely have any snowflakes in the grass, according to the report that was given to me. Most areas, this is an event that when it's all said and done, nearly everybody has at least coverage on the ground. Here's the current radar. Headline number 1, snow is over. It's done for Portland and Vancouver. Headline number 2, not so fast for you folks on the west side, parts of Washington, especially down to Yamhill counties, Marion and Lynn counties. And right now, even off of the coast, there are still active snow showers. And there's reason to believe that there could be some snow bands embedded where you're noticing, yeah, you're still accumulating a little bit. So that chance of snow out on the west side and down through Salem still in the forecast into the afternoon hours. But Portland and Vancouver and up to the north, we're finally done. All right, thank you for all your reports. You really help us get a handle on what the situation is out there. This was posted on my KGW Rod Hill Facebook page. Elaine Gordon out in Sherwood. Racing dogs, we'll call this one, hopping through the snow, probably having just the time of their life. Remember that report I had that was just outside of Canby that said we kind of missed out? Well, this isn't that far from that area. This is the Oregon Garden Resort in Silverton. I mean, they've at least got, it looks like, a couple inches of snow, maybe more than that. The eyeball test of complete coverage, really pretty. The Oregon Garden sits back in the tree areas there. And then check this out. We see this, but not often. Snow at the beach. This is the Inn at Ottercrest sent me this photo. This is in Lincoln County. That's what, south of Depot Bay. And they've definitely got snow on the grass looking out over the ocean. They're starting to get a little mix of some sunshine. I've also noticed snow in the hill up in Astoria and a little bit of snow kissing the top of Haystack Rock. We saw on radar a moment ago, snow showers are extending off of the coast. I mean, it's 30 in Astoria, 33 down in Florence. Salem has hit freezing this morning for the first time during all of this. 26 in Portland, a temperature that has been dropping a degree an hour for about 3 straight hours now. That says east winds blow colder air in from the gorge out along the Columbia River. We may or may not make it up to 32. Certainly no melting of snow and ice today from the temperatures. Tonight, 18 degrees, a record cold with gusty east winds. Tomorrow, 38. Not going to melt much there. 22 Saturday morning. We get up to 44, some melting, but still a lot on the ground. It'll be the rain into next week that finally washes all of this out. That's your forecast for now.
Can't enough, Rod. Thank you so much. All right, as we head to break, we want to ask you a favor. If you have weather photos that you'd like to share with us or video, you can text them to 503-226-5088. We'll be sharing as many as we can on the air. We have more weather and traffic coverage. And also, we're efforting a phoner with or a Zoom interview with Don Hamilton to talk more about some of the interstates here. So stay tuned. Much more coverage here on Sunrise. So what Welcome back. We are preempting part of the Today Show this morning because of our weather coverage. It has just been a mess all over the Portland, Vancouver area. You are looking at an ODOT cam there at Lloyd. And so all the semis backed up there are heading westbound on Interstate 84 toward town. They can't go anywhere because the I-5 North ramp is closed. And then on the left side of your screen is I-84 eastbound. We are seeing cars get through there, but we also know that that I-5 northbound ramp to the freeway is closed. So maybe people are scooting through there. We also noticed what looks like some kind of a slide. We are waiting for official confirmation about what exactly is happening. But again, suffice it to say, freeways all over the area are a big old mess.
Felt like you were channeling your inner Chris McGinnis there, Brenda.
I was concentrating hard because they call me Wrong Way Braxton.
No,
I'm not great with directions.
I thought you did very good with the north, south, east, and west right there. Christine Pitawanich, I do know where you're at this morning, not too far from the station. Christine came in, thought she was going to be in the studio with us. I thought that was a good idea too, Christine, but they said, let's send her out on foot. You went about a mile down the road to the Goose Hollow Max tracks. Are you seeing a lot more foot traffic now? Because it was pretty quiet there for the better part of 2.5 hours.
Yes, we have been seeing much more foot traffic. In fact, actually you can see one of the Max trains right behind me headed out to Hillsborough. Right before we went live, there was a guy who came running, and I was just waiting for him to eat it on the sidewalk, but he didn't, fortunately. But he came running around trying to make this Max train. He fortunately did. But there are definitely a number of people who are like, you know what, I need to get to work, or I need to get where I'm going, and they're hopping on public transportation. I've also seen a number of buses come through, all of them, of course, chained up to be ready to, to hit the roads here. But we did speak with one woman who's had a pretty rough 12 hours or so. Take a listen.
The electricity went out about 7:30 or 8 o'clock last night, and nothing's running because everything's on electricity. And I have an interview at 10 and one again at 12 via phone, and the phone died.
Cell phone died when she had a phone interview, and she didn't have electricity, so we caught up with her as she was walking around trying to find a cafe, a place where she could plug in her phone so that she could do a phone interview this morning. I also spoke to a woman who was walking past me. She lives right up here in the Goose Hollow neighborhood. She says she has been without power since last night too. She works at OHSU, and get this, last night she said she walked 2 hours home, and today she was just beside herself because she was hoping there might be a bus that she could hop so that she wouldn't have to walk 2 hours back to the South Waterfront for work at OHSU. Meantime, TriMet has said to expect delays if you're hopping on a Max train or a bus. 15 to 30 minutes, I'm hearing, although some people I've spoken to have said it hasn't been too bad. Buses, of course, depending on where you're going, some of those routes have been suspended depending on whether they're at higher elevation or just on roads. But also pay attention to some of the roads that are going to be shut down. I know earlier this morning I was at Southwest Columbia between 15th and 16th. That street is shut down because there is a hill. So if you're headed out, be careful, leave early for sure. And if you have to stay home, actually if you can stay home, I shouldn't say have to, if you can stay home, do it. Back to you.
Yeah, embrace that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Christine, thank you. We also want to talk to one of our other colleagues, our night shift guy, otherwise known as David Molko. He is joining us live on the phone. And David, you're at PDX trying to board a flight. Can you talk about your journey there and what the airport has been like?
Hi, good morning, Brenda and Drew. I can't say I got much sleep last night at all, but I was happy to get home safely, given some of our colleagues like Catherine Cook stuck in one traffic jam for 7 to 8 hours in exactly the same place. Left home in Northwest around 5:45 in the morning. We knew it was going to be slow going. Sheets of ice on surface streets all the way to the airport. I can't stress this enough. If you don't have four-wheel drive, traction tires, chains, you don't know how to drive on these roads, don't do it. Abandoned vehicles on the sides of the roads, buses spinning out, sort of stalled there. We made it. It took about 30 to 45 minutes. Got here, the parking situation, if you're headed out to the airport, picking people up, short-term parking, those ramps that go up into the garage, completely iced over, all blocked off. So they're routing everybody into the long term. The only spots that were left, and there were just a handful, on the roof level with that east wind blowing and the snow. Not sure about the economy loss. The airport itself, everybody's in good spirits, guys, all things considered, right? The check-in agents, yeah, there was a line in Alaska if you couldn't use the kiosk to get in, but security was moving, people were moving through. It looks like from the boards, from what I can see, the majority of flights are canceled this morning. Mine, luckily, isn't one of them. Going down to Burbank, California to see some family, and it looks like everyone's on board. Every seat on this plane is filled. The crew is smiling. Other flights canceled. We saw one headed out to Hawaii, but there was a group of people sitting on the side of the moving sidewalk in the concourse here with little paper cups from the coffee shop, pouring champagne. I think they had been here overnight because they were toasting and cheering as soon as it boarded. Saw that flight to Hawaii board, but there are people, I got to tell you, in the concourse, through the secure area, sleeping on the sides of kind of the moving sidewalk. There were people in that underground tunnel that goes out to the parking garage, and the rental cars sort of huddled up on their coats trying to get some shut-eye. But the impression I got was that they were stuck here overnight, either waiting for a flight or trying to be picked up. So, again, I'm one of the lucky ones, but if you don't have anywhere to be, you're not going to head on those roads, don't do it. Just stay home.
So if you're just tuning in, David is one of our anchors in the evening, usually from 5 o'clock at night till 11:30 at night. So David, if I'm not mistaken, you probably walked out of this KGW building last night close to midnight, up about 3 hours later to catch this flight of yours today. When you left here at around midnight last night, did you realize what the situation would be for you this morning? I mean, was it clear even last night at 11:30, midnight, how bad things would be this morning? Or is this a bit of a surprise to you?
I think it was crystal clear as the evening hours went on, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, when we saw a sea of red on every major highway and road, when Peabody was telling us last night this was not the winter storm they expected, when ODOT was saying to us this is a worst-case scenario. They weren't prepared because the forecast didn't align in that way, and as Matt DeFino was telling us last night, I'm sure Rod is saying this morning, the storm essentially stalled off the coast, which is why the bands kept dumping and dumping and dumping and dumping. I'm actually surprised I made it home a couple miles in about 15 minutes. Really slow going, but Tim Gordon was reporting the entrance to 26 off Jefferson was a traffic jam. We were talking about how it was rush hour at 11:30 at night.
Right.
Remarkable. Just glad people are taking their time, staying put if they can, and that generally it's okay. It's nice to see smiles and friendly folks here this morning, though.
Absolutely. And we just got official word, David, as you were talking, 17 delayed flights, 46 cancellations. We'll be keeping in touch with the Port of Portland, and we wish you a very speedy trip down south where hopefully the weather is much, much better. Thank you for weighing in. Take care.
All right, we let David go so we can bring Don Hamilton back into the mix here. Don representing the Oregon Department of Transportation. Don, we've been talking a lot about some of the freeways in and around downtown Portland, 84, I-5. We can see those backups. One question I had was, how far south do you have to go on I-5 before we get into, say, a clearing?
I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look at the cameras and see what the latest is about that. But you've got to go a pretty far ways south before you're going to really see some clear roads. I know that the problems here are really confined into the Portland metropolitan area. If you go east, for example, out into the Columbia Gorge, you're going to start to see some clear roads out there, which is really a reversal of what we normally expect out here. Go into Cascade Locks, look at those cameras. Those roads are bare out in that area around here. But you go south, you're going to start to see some still really snowy roads going down that way. Of course, on the Oregon coast, as you've been telling us today, trees down, roads snowy out that way too. So we're getting a lot of snow really throughout the whole Portland area, including south.
Okay, Don, update us on what's been happening on I-84 eastbound, because we have been seeing this picture. And westbound is where all the semis are, but eastbound, some cars are getting through, as you can see there live. What is that debris? Is that a slide? Do you have any updates on that?
No, I'm not sure exactly. That is a little bit of a slide right there. It's good to see that there is some traffic getting through in that area along in there too. So that's a reassuring to see that right in there too. We don't like to see those slides coming down there. We're going to get a crew over there too to find out exactly what's going on. It looks like we do have a crew right in there finding out what's going on. So we're going to check that out, see if there's any other danger in there.
Any update on that I-5 North ramp? Because that's where dozens of cars are just sitting and waiting for that to clear. What are your crews telling you about that?
Well, what we're finding out is that we've seen a lot of trucks really throughout the area. A lot of trucks have gone in to the storm without their chains on. And a lot of them have gone in and they've gone sideways and blocked 2-3 lanes at a time. That's created some real problems. We need to get those trucks out of the way. Once we do that, we can start to get the cars that have been blocked at the same time. Once we get those lanes cleared, we can start to get some of these freeways open again too. That's what we're working to do. We're going to be working on this all day today.
My guess, though, Don, it's easy to say we need to get those trucks out of the way. There is no ODOT trick to really make that happen.
There's no magic bullet to making this happen, as we've seen in past storms too. When we get hit like this, as hard as we got hit with a bunch of snow, 11 inches of snow on top of ice, on top of all these cold temperatures that we're seeing right now, wow, that's a bad storm that we're looking at right now, and we're working right now to get it clear. It's going to take a little while. That's why we're encouraging people to stay home. These roads are not in good shape right now, but we're doing everything we can to get them clear again.
All right, Don, we're going to let you go here. I can tell you who has stayed home today. Most of the kids around the area, right? I mean, school closures from Vancouver all the way down past Wilsonville this morning, and really widespread. We've been rolling those school closures at the bottom of your screen. So if you still don't realize that your kids are off from school today,
oh, they realize.
You can check the bottom of your screen to make sure.
But this, I mean, to be this age, and right, to have all this snow and ice, and if you slip and fall, it's fun.
You know what's great about these kids? They're thinking, I'm happy the weatherman blew the forecast. I love that guy.
Could not be better. The rest of us, we hate you.
Yes.
No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, it is, you know, you were very transparent earlier. This is one that was tough, and the temperature dropped lower than you thought, and those shower bands came through, and this is the result.
And then that low offshore just kept feeding the bands. It was crazy the amount of total precipitation we had. We said the 10.8 inches, the second biggest snowstorm ever, site specific to PDX, going back to when the airport opened in the 1940s. It was about a 3/4 of an inch of if you melted all that out, 3/4 of an inch of liquid. But that's a big storm for us.
It is. Because this time yesterday we talked about it's going to get colder and drier, and it just got wetter and wetter.
Well, that's one way to put it. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a snappy comeback for that one, Mr. Carney. Here's a look at our radar. You know, I'm smiling and chuckling, but believe me, nobody is more angry than me at myself when the forecast doesn't work out the way that I thought it would. And yesterday at noon was the first time when I was working with Brenda that we started to sound the horn that we've got sticking snow, temperatures are getting colder, the chance for sticking snow for all areas is rapidly increasing. Wasn't sure how much it would blow up. It blew up to elevated heights, and that's what we have. Now, the number one headline right now is that the threat of snow for Portland and Vancouver and out through the gorge has completely ended. We are done. Radar is showing snow. McMinnville, good morning. All this is snow, all the white color, including off of the coast. These snow bands, it's tough to tell if this, a lot of this is flurries, but there are some embedded areas where the snow rates are pretty decent. So some of you, all the way into this afternoon on the west side and south down towards Salem, still have the threat of seeing a little bit added to whatever is on the ground in your area right now. That will eventually weaken what I just showed you and continue to drop to the south. All of our area, including Albany and Salem and the coast, and the gorge will clear tonight. And then the big story will quickly become nothing but the very cold weather. I guess this was sunset last night, I believe. Newburgh, Patty Riggs grabbing this photo for me. That's really beautiful. She put that on my KGW Rod Hill Facebook page. She lives up on the hill, or she's really tall, one of the two. That's a really nice picture looking down over the country. Beaverton, Nancy says, yep, we got it here on the west side. Thank you, Nancy, for posting that. If you just look at the planters, that's at least 4+ inches, it looks like, on the snow out there in Beaverton. And here's one spot. We were wondering what I-5 is like down in Salem. Here's one spot up north where they don't have much this morning. This is up in Kelso, Three Rivers Golf Course. Some traces of snow left on the ground, but that's it. The grass is green, and they missed out, it looks like, on the storm up north. All right, here's Cathedral Ridge Winery. Now, this is up on the hill a little bit on the south side of I-5 coming into Hood River. Don Hamilton mentioned that Cascade Locks area in 84, the highway's in pretty good shape. Doesn't look like a lot on the ground in the vineyard. Looks like kind of a light dusting to an inch or so. Temperatures outside right now, the cold quickly becoming the bigger story than the snow. 26 in Portland, 25 in West Linn. Salem and Kaiser are holding right there at 32, 33 degrees. Most areas will not get to freezing today. So that means the snow and ice will still be there tonight, still be there tomorrow. Don't forget tonight, record low temperatures in the teens, bitter cold wind chills if you live in a spot where you're getting the east winds coming out of the gorge. Same thing Saturday morning, record lows. Not much, some melting Saturday, not much. That's the day we get up to 44. But really, it's going to be this rain that sets up Sunday and the first part of next week that starts to get all this washed out. So it's going to be here for a while. Chris, over to you.
And obviously the ice that we see on the roads here, this is I-405 South coming off the Fremont Bridge, and we'll see how these cars get by on that. Obviously, a little decent amount of spacing there, and they're not moving very quickly. One camera I'm kind of interested to check out. I hope I can take this here. Let's see. Door number 2 is the Metro. No, that's, excuse me, the Rose City Sky camera. Yeah, we're still looking at the I-5 North ramp, right? This is the I-5 North exit to Interstate 84 eastbound. So that ramp is still covered by, as the Oregon Department of Transportation has told us, a number of semis that may or may not have chained up as that snow was coming in last night. So that's why they're still stuck. Let's go with a little different perspective here. This is from the Metro building, and we're able to get a better look at some of those ramps. I want to step out of the way here, and this is kind of the first look that I'm getting at this myself as well. So we're looking at this like, you know, streams of spaghetti here, the different flyover ramps from I-5 South to eastbound 84. I don't know that I see any cars making that transition just yet. Here's the ramp from 84 westbound to I-5 North, and you can see cars that are just parked there. I think this is either the Grand or the MLK overpass right here. So you can see that west. I mean, those cars are just parked, right? There's not even exhaust coming out of them at that point. So those cars are just stuck there right now. All right, I do want to give you an update outside of the metro area because we still do have some trouble. And ODOT now reporting, I think we've got one lane open on the Astoria-Megler Bridge, US 101 between Astoria and Megler. We have down trees or down power lines or a combination of the two on US 101 in the Nesquin area, between Nesquin and Lincoln City. We've got some trouble. East of Newport, west of Eddyville, Highway 20 right now is closed because of reported down trees. And as we go farther south, Oregon 34 between Waldport and the Corvallis area. This purple line on my map here indicating that road is still closed at this time. Guys, going to be a while.
What? Welcome back to our extended weather coverage. It has taken over the Today Show slot. This historic snowstorm that's hit the area has been a mess for the adults, but I see a few people I know who are loving it. Look at the kids.
So
this is over in Happy Valley.
Happy Valley, 152nd Avenue is where Chad Dehart is behind the camera. The kids in front of the camera building the snowman, taking some sled runs. So we have a lot of coverage still to come this morning. Rod Hill's in the Weather Center. Chris is covering the traffic angle for us, and there's a lot to discuss there. But we wanted to take this quick time out, if you will, for the fun that's being had from a couple of the kids, many kids, with a snow day today. We're back with more Sunrise. Extended coverage on this snow day Thursday after this. Street overpass. Okay, this is I-5. Right, we're looking at traffic coming into town. Anyone can confirm that on that? Back to extended coverage of Sunrise on this Thursday morning, a snow day for lots of kids throughout the area, and we've been encouraging people who have to work today. If you can do it from home, that's probably your best bet because there are traffic nightmares all throughout the area, including this. So Devin Haskins is up on the overpass, the Going Street overpass there, looking down on I-5, and all of those trucks you see are heading towards downtown Portland. So that's inbound traffic on I-5. The Going Street overpass.
So ODOT's Don Hamilton told us earlier one of the problems with this particular snowstorm is the surprise nature of it, and a lot of these big rigs did not chain up, so they're jackknifing and they can't get up those inclines, and this is the result. Just dozens of them stuck there on I-5 today. We want to talk more about the forecast and what you can expect in the next few hours and beyond. So Rod, you're the guy for that.
Okay, here we go. Hey, real quick, because we were talking about Salem. I know Chris mentioned it earlier in the show, but remember I-5 conditions? By the time you get to Salem, the highway's in pretty good shape. Remember, Marion County basically stayed above freezing last night, and they're just now getting down to 32. Now, radar does in fact show at least some flurries in the air down in Salem right now, but this is a much improved area, nothing like what we have up here in Portland. Heaviest snow bands for the last couple of hours have been back here really in Yamhill County. And then we've got light snow extending off the coast. It is generally the west side out of the Portland metro area down through wine country down into Salem where the snow chances will linger, potentially all the way into early this afternoon. A lot of this will be flurries, but some of it absolutely could be heavier snow that actually adds to some accumulation. Look at the snow at the beach. This is Pacific City. You're looking at the Haystack Rock there with snow on top. Leslie Salvador sharing this on my KGW Rod Hill Facebook page. All the coast cameras I've had eyes on show some snow. Here's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in low. Let's see what their temperature is. 27 degrees. Basically where we are going to be during the day is where we would be often on a cold night. if that makes sense. Downtown Portland, the bricks covered with snow. There's the PDX temperature at 26. And here's the snow-covered tarmac at Vancouver's Pearson Airfield. Kind of a pretty mix of the darker clouds up top, but dry weather holding, and the snow on the tarmac right there. This snow, a lot of it will still be with us all the way into Sunday with rain falling. That's when we're really going to start to wash a lot of this way. So especially side roads are going to have snow and ice for the next several days. High temperatures today in the Mid-Valley are right around freezing right now. You folks have a chance to bounce up into the mid-30s, but don't forget the record lows in the teens tonight with gusty east winds adding a wind chill. So again, everybody eventually clears out later today going into tonight, and then the big story will simply be the real cold weather. Teens tonight, above freezing tomorrow, but 22 again Saturday morning. We'll be back in a moment. Well, static's horrible. I just
Welcome back. This is I-5 at the Going Street overpass. You are looking south into downtown. You see the semis there that are stuck in and on the icy roads, and just a few cars look like they're making that on-ramp from going to get onto southbound I-5. You look a little farther off in the distance, and you can see ODOT trucks with the arrow signs indicating to get over onto 405, because at this point, it does not appear that they are allowing traffic to continue past the 405 exit, meaning I-5 southbound effectively is closed at this point. Northbound traffic looks like it's getting by at this point. All right, let's switch gears real quick. We've been getting some questions about what I-205 looks like. We've seen the Glenn Jackson Bridge. That's been a mess all morning. This is a live look over near the Stark Washington Street couplet. You can see northbound traffic is just creeping along on those icy roads out there this morning, guys.
All right, Chris, thanks for that update. We also have Rod Hill joining us in the studio now. Rod, I'll call this your final word on the weather as we wrap up this extended coverage.
So 2 headlines. Number 1 headline, the snow has ended for Portland and Vancouver. Now to the east side. You guys happy? Yes?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
No.
Still not happy. My goodness. Can we go to radar? Brian Matthews, our director, do you have that code here we can take? Yeah. I want to show you McMinnville. See the bright white color, especially just north and outside of McMinnville? That's a decent snow band. So this chance of some additional accumulations, especially out in wine country, Yamhill County, and eventually rotating down into the Salem area, that's a threat all the way into early afternoon. Now, eventually you folks will be clearing out as well, and then we all nosedive into the teens for record lows tonight. We may or may not get up to 32 today. It's 26 currently. East winds are going to help hold the temperature down. Tomorrow we will get at least above freezing. Saturday back down to around 22. So again, this is all still on the ground at that point, Brenda and Drew. Wow.
One of our crews on the ground this morning has been on the Glenn Jackson Bridge for probably like the last 2 hours now.
At least,
Eric Patterson is driving Drive 8. Brian Clerkley sitting next to him in the passenger seat, and they've been in this traffic mess trying to cross from Vancouver over to Portland. My question, Rod.
Look at him, he's waving.
He's waving.
I really feel like snow days are dictated by the schools, honestly. I mean, when schools shut down, that kind of changes everything in terms of traffic flow, family situations. Tomorrow morning, are we looking at the possibility of another?
I think so, because the snow and ice that's on the roads is not going to melt. Remember, we may not even get up to 30 today.
Right.
There's no way that any school that has bus routes that go up into the hills will not be able to operate tomorrow at all. How about that?
Absolutely, and this mess on the Glenn Jackson Bridge was caused by a jackknife semi. Again, it blocking a bunch of lanes, and they were finally able to kind of get around that. But look how slow going, and then that really far lane heading possibly to the airport. Brian Clerkley reporting that those cars kind of created their own lane on the shoulder, and they're trying to get around everything as well.
I get text messages from the house, my kids asking the same kind of questions our viewers do. How are the roads this morning? I just got one. I'm like, generally speaking, how are the roads? They're like this. And the deal is, yes, you could probably get out, and maybe you have the car that's equipped to get around town today, but you can't account for what else is out there. You can't account for the other person who might be sliding into you. It's not always about you sliding, right? So that's the message we're leaving you with, but we're also going to check out some viewer picks from around the area, because a lot of times we'll talk about viewers being our best reporters on the ground. These are some of the shots we're talking about, Brenda.
So this is Lincoln City. Phil, good morning. He says 10 inches, where he is.
Wow.
Yep. And let's switch it, producer Maddie. I love this little guy. He's got they've got some snowballs, which is, if you're a kid, this is perfect.
So that was in Salem. Our next shot comes from Sherwood. Suzanne shot this for us and sent it in this morning. We love that. And was really looking forward to the Camas picture, because Camas got really blasted early yesterday. And you see some of the effects of that right there. Next shot, Brenda, is a kitty cat.
Named Scout. This is between Forest Grove and Banks. He's looking out the sliding glass door saying, no thanks, I think I'll stay inside.
Setting a perfect example, by the way.
Hey, let's go back down to the coast. Another shot from Lincoln City. Lincoln City, you got blasted on the beach by this storm for sure.
And then a golden, how pretty. That's over in the Woodstock area.
A look at the Willamette River to wrap things up. We may be able to slip in one more picture. Producer Maddie, let's see it.
Yes. The snow angels.
Thanks for watching us here on Sunrise.